Hello. Lesson 2.1, we're going to be writing and graphing inequalities. So our objective for this lesson is you'll be able to write a linear inequality, sketch the graph of linear inequalities, and write the linear inequalities from a graph. So first we need to talk about what is an inequality. An inequality is a mathematical sentence, so it's a math sentence, okay, that compares expressions. Okay. So instead of saying two expressions are equal, it compares them by saying is one bigger than the other, one is less than the other. Okay, our common inequality symbols are the less than sign. Okay, the less than sign starts with the pointy end first and then gets bigger as you go out. So I know it's less than because it starts with pointy. So this is the less than symbol. And then we have the greater than. Okay. The greater than symbol, as you're reading from left to right, starts with the big end first and then gets smaller. So I know that's the greater than because it starts big, gets small, so that's greater than, and this one gets small, gets big, so that's less than. That's how I keep them apart. So this is a greater than symbol. But then we also have less than or equal to. It has another line above it. Below it. Less than or equal to, meaning it's smaller or equal to it. And then we have our greater than or equal to. Okay. So an inequality is a math sentence that compares expressions. Okay, for example, okay, here is an inequality. 2 plus 4 is less than 10. Well, 2 plus 4 here is 6. 6 is less than 10, so that is comparing. Okay. All right, so next, example 1. So now we're going to be writing some inequalities. So we're going to write each sentence in inequality. So I break the sentence up into pieces. We have a number W. So there's my variable. So we know we're going to have a W. Okay. And then we have minus. So that tells me I'm going to be subtracting. And then next we have 3.5. So a number W minus 3.5 is, next we have is less than or equal to. Okay, so we have our less than or equal to sign. Again, less than starts with the little point first. Okay, less than or equal to negative 2. So there we have a number W minus 3.5 is less than or equal to negative 2. Okay, next one. 3, so we start with 3 is less than, so less than, a number n, so here we have a number n plus 5. So 3 is less than a number n plus 5, okay? And we might be a little worried about the order in that. Normally we like the variable. I know many of you like the variable on this side. You can flip-flop inequalities, meaning I can write the n plus 5 on this side, but since I moved this side over here, this inequality must also switch directions. Okay, it's very similar to saying, so if I say, let's go 10 is greater than 6. If I flip-flop it and write the 6 first and then the 10, it wouldn't make sense for me to have a greater than sign there anymore. It would have to be 6 is less than 10. It has to be flip-flopped. Okay. All right, last one, 0 is greater than or equal to, twice a number. So twice a number means multiplying by 2. So twice a number, they even give you the variable x. So I want to take 2 times x. So there's twice the number x plus 1. So again, I just read these in very short little snippets. Twice the number x plus 1 as I write them. Okay. So now you have your turn problems. I want you to go ahead and do these. Your turn problems. Okay, so pause the video and do these. So pause it, okay, and then come back. All right, so hopefully you did those your turn problems. So here I'll go ahead and give you the answers for them so you can see if you're right. B is fewer than, that would be less than 30.4. Okay. And negative 7/10 is at least, we're going to come to that in a minute, twice the number, so 2 times the number k minus 4. If I say is at least, that tells me that this over here, the smallest it can be is negative 7/10. This is the smallest it can be, so that tells me this has to be bigger than. So negative 7/10 is at least, so that tells me that this has to be bigger than the 2k minus 4. Okay. So now what is a solution of an inequality? A solution of an inequality is a value that makes the inequality true. And unlike equalities that normally had one single solution, an inequality can have lots of different solutions. For example, if we have x plus 5 has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, possible solutions. Okay, 0. 0 will work because 0 plus 5, is that greater than or equal to negative 2? Yep, that works. So there's one solution. 0 worked. What about negative 5? Well, is negative 5 plus 5 greater than or equal to negative 2? That's 0. Yep, that one worked too. Okay, but there are some numbers that don't work. Okay, for example, negative 10. Negative 10 plus 5, is that greater than or equal to negative 2? That gives me negative 5. Nope, that one doesn't work. So here we found two solutions, 0 and negative 5 are solutions, but there's an infinite number of solutions. Okay, there's an infinite number of solutions to most inequalities. So to tell whether negative 4 is the solution of each inequality, we're going to go ahead and plug that in. So we go negative 4 plus 8. Is that less than negative 3? A lot of times I put a question mark above it. Is it true? Well, negative 4 plus 8 is 4. Is that less than negative 3? No. So no, it is not a solution. Okay, so a lot of times then we'd put a slash through that less than because it is not less than. Okay, this one, negative 4.5 times, again, we want to try negative 4. Is that greater than negative 21? Well, negative 4.5 times negative 4, if you're not sure, I can type in your calculator. You get 18. Is that greater than negative 21? Yes, it does work. Okay. All right, so now here, pause the video and do these 4 your turn problems, and then come back and we'll go over them. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to do them. I'm just going to give you the answers so you can check your work. Number 1 is yes. You should have some work here. Make sure you have some work there. Verifying yes. 4 is no. Okay. 5 is yes, and 6 is no. Check your work. If you got the right answers, yay. If not, try to figure out why. Okay, you can come ask me if you have any questions on how you did not get those, on maybe why those aren't right. Okay. How do you graph an inequality? A graph of an inequality, it needs to show the solution set. Meaning, it needs to show you all of the numbers that work. What we mean by solution set is all the numbers that work. Okay. So, we're going to show it on a number line. So we'll show it on a number line. And we'll do some shading. Okay, I like to draw arrows above or shade over. It's completely up to you what you do. But there's just one little trick is we want to do so we're going to do some shading. I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. Okay, but if you have a strictly less than or strictly greater than, you're going to use what we call an open dot. You're not going to shade it in. But if you have a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, you're going to shade that dot in and you're going to use a closed dot. The open or closed of the dot determines. Okay, other notation is also a parenthesis. A parenthesis is used for an open dot. And a square bracket is used for a closed dot. Oh. Okay, depending on notation. Okay, so here we want to graph y is all the numbers less than, so we'll need to be able to read the symbol, less than -3. So I want to shade all the numbers that are less than, so I want to shade all numbers that are less than -3. So I'm going to draw my number line. Okay, and I need to mark where -3 is. Okay, so here's -3, and I normally always mark 0. You don't need to mark every number in between there. Just mark where 0 is, mark where your -3 is. Okay, we're going to look here. This is a less than or equal to. So since we're less than or equal to, we're going to come over here and we're going to use a closed dot or a bracket. So I'm going to use a closed dot at -3. And I want all the numbers that are less than this -3. Well, if I go this way, these numbers are bigger than -3, so I want to go this way. They're less than -3. So normally I take my pencil and I just go here and I kind of just draw a scribbly down that direction. So there's all the numbers less than -3. Okay. Okay. There's one way, optional other way is some people do it above. And then they'll draw an arrow going this direction. I prefer the scribblies, okay, but it's completely up to you how you do those if you'd like the line and the arrow better. Okay, next, here we have 2 is less than x. So I want 2 to be less than all the numbers I have shaded. Okay, so I want 2 to be less than all the numbers that I've shaded. So I draw my number line. I mark where 2 is, so here, let's mark this as 2. So 0 would be down here. And I want 2 to be smaller than any numbers that I've shaded. So first let's determine dot. It is strictly less than, so that's going to be an open dot. So I'm going to put a big open dot there at 2. Don't shade it in. And I want 2 to be less than any numbers I shade. Well, if I shade this direction, 2 would be bigger than all of those numbers. I want 2 to be less than all the numbers that I shade. So that tells me that I need to shade this direction. So 2 is less than all x. So this tells me that this x could be any number up here. So x could be 4, x could be 20, x could be any number up here, and 2 will be less than that number. Okay. So here we have next, here we're talking about all numbers. Here we want all numbers that are greater than 0. So here we want any numbers. We want to shade the numbers, all numbers greater than 0. Okay, so we draw our number line. We mark our 0. I don't need to mark anywhere else because we're strictly 0. We look here. That's a strictly greater than sign, so it's going to be an open dot. Excuse me. Sorry, that was a sneeze. Okay, so and then I want to shade all the numbers that are greater than 0. So where are the numbers bigger than 0? Well, that would be the numbers up here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shade the numbers up that direction. Okay. All right. I want you to go ahead and I want you to do these, your turn. Graph the inequalities on these. Pause it and do those. Okay. And when you get done, I want you to check these. Check them with your ebook. Okay, so I want you to log into your Big Ideas. Log into your Big Ideas Math. Again, remember your password is your login is first initial. We wrote them in the front of we should have wrote them in our textbooks. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and check those with your ebook because I'll have answers to that.
Sorry, but just, I can't stay out there.
All right. Okay, so now we have one more. Now we just need to go from a graph to the equation. So here we have the graph shows the height restrictions for 2 rides at an amusement park. Write an inequality that represents the height restrictions for each ride. So I need to write one for ride A. So for ride A, it looks like here I'm starting at 48 and I'm shading all numbers bigger. So if we say x is up here, I want my x to be bigger. I'm going to write it in words. I want x is bigger. I just wrote in a variable. Oh, they tell me what variable to use. Oops, sorry, typo. They told me to use h. So let's not use x, let's use h. geez, my eraser's too big. Write A. H. So H is bigger than 48. Writing that in words is very helpful. So I want H to be greater than 48. And then we look from over here. Again, remember the difference between our open and closed dots. So here we have a closed dot, so greater than or equal to. So H has to be greater than or equal to 48. Okay, and now for ride B, H would be down here shaded. So H is numbers smaller than, H is smaller than 52. So, sorry, 50. H is smaller than 52. So I want all H's that are less than 52. But look, that one's got a open dot. So we leave it just strictly less than. So here, H is greater than or equal to 48 for ride A, and H has to be less than 52 for ride B. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and do this your turn problem. Again, I want you to check it with your ebook. Okay, I might not have done a very good explanation on how to check it with your ebook. These are what are called the monitoring progress problems within your text. Okay, so if you go to section 2.1 and look at the monitoring progress problems, these are the monitoring progress problems 7, 8, 9, and 10. Those are located in your book on page, let's see, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are on page 56. And then these ones over here, this one 11 is on page 57 in your ebook. So if you go to your ebook, section 2.1, you'll be able to find those. And then they have a little audio, a little video that you can go and you can see what the answers to those are. Okay. All right. So now you can go ahead and do your practice and let me know when you're ready for a skill check.